Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be answering my most asked question on my stream and on YouTube. What class will I be maining in TBC Classic? But before we do that, because let's be honest, 90% of the people who've clicked this video have only clicked the video because they are interested in getting access to the TBC beta. Well, lucky for you, I can give you access to the TBC beta because I have 20 beta keys to give away to my community. So this is how it's going to go down. I'm going to be doing a 10-hour long live stream where I give away 2 keys per hour on that live stream. The reason why I'm not giving them away in this video is because a part of the rules of this giveaway is I have to advertise it before I actually do it. You will obviously find my Twitch in the description of the video, and these are going to be the times that I will go live. It's going to happen Sunday, 3 PM GMT +1, so 10 AM Eastern Seaboard time and 7 AM West Coast. So be sure to follow me on Twitch so you do not miss this live stream. I will be giving 2 keys per hour away, however, there is another chance for you to actually earn a beta key with a fun little competition that I'm going to do. Because what I'm going to do is we're going to have a fan art challenge. And the submission that provides the best fan art that I like the most will win a TBC beta key. So let me tell you the kind of thing I'm looking for. I'm obviously looking for a cool picture of a goblin, and I prefer it honestly to not be World of Warcraft themed because I've already got that for my channel icon. I would prefer it to be something very unique that shows off your unique illustration style. So it can be realistic looking, it can be cartoon looking, it could be Andy Warhol pop art for all I care. The point is it has to be cool and it has to be not World of Warcraft themed, so it has to not look like a World of Warcraft goblin. I'd also prefer it not to be a landscape drawing because I'd like to convert it into an icon that I can use on my Twitch for subscription badges and a few other things as well. And like I said before, the best submission will win a TBC beta key. But anyway, let's actually get on with the video. You know, what class am I actually going to main in TBC? So TBC for me is the last chance to really experience the concept of a real support class. In Wrath of the Lich King, the classes just start to turn into absolute DPS monsters and just mechanical machines in my opinion. The Priest is the class I'm going to be playing in TBC Classic because I think it's a humble class that doesn't really care about topping meters by spamming one button like, let's be honest, most other classes in TBC. It's a class with a totally different philosophy to essentially support the raid at securing boss kills, and there's so many different ways that a Shadow Priest is useful to the raid. It's very akin to old school MMO class design like Star Wars Galaxies and EverQuest, and for instance Lord of the Rings Online still have this kind of class design where you have classes that are tailored for a support role. In Lord of the Rings Online there's the Minstrel and the Captain class that focus on buffing the raid, not just healing them but actually buffing them by increasing their power. Then you have a Lore Master which focuses on debuffing the boss to increase a raid's damage. World of Warcraft unfortunately has lost sight of this concept as time has gone on, in my opinion. So let's talk about some of the many ways that a Shadow Priest supports the raid. Obviously, first of all, we have mana regeneration. This is probably the most popular and well-known way that a Shadow Priest is a support class. You know, in profession fights where the raid is genuinely struggling with the fight, particularly longer fights, the Shadow Priest can provide lots of mana regeneration to keep the healers pumping and obviously out of trouble. If the fights are shorter and mana regeneration isn't really much of a problem for the healers, you can use a Shadow Priest to increase the damage of arcane mages who are very mana hungry and allow them to pump even more DPS without having to burn through their mana pool. And obviously in smaller raid groups and 5-mans, they can very easily support a protection paladin with their mana, which allows them to generate more aggro because they can use more spells, which in turn allows the DPS to deal more AoE damage. They also have an ability called Vampiric Embrace. The Shadow Priest provides AoE healing based on his damage dealt, only party-wide, but when the casters or the healers are taking lots of AoE damage from a boss, this priest can be very useful at generating the party's HP, which obviously saves the healer's mana because the healers don't have to do that healing instead. And on smaller raids or 5-mans, it's also a pretty useful tool to actually keep some smooth healing on the tank. On top of all this, they provide really good debuffs to boost the raid's damage. They have Shadow Weaving, which will increase the Warlock's damage by 10%, and then they have Misery, that will increase all spell damage taken by 5%. Lots of Warlocks in TBC find this very useful, and obviously if you actually added the 10% of increased shadow damage dealt to the boss to a Shadow Priest's DPS meter, then Shadow Priest would probably be at the top of that DPS meter. In fact, if there was such thing as a particular meter that measured the total usefulness to the raid, so the amount of damage increased, mana regenerated to the raid, and healing done, then Shadow Priest would obviously be at the top of that meter. And it really doesn't end there, because there are so many great buffs that a Shadow Priest provides. Firstly, you have your stamina buff, obviously, many people know that from playing Classic. Then you obviously have Fear Wards, because Fear Ward is just given to every single priest in TBC. And then they also have cheeky little Shadow Protection buff. They can also use Dispel Magic without breaking Shadow Form. Sometimes this is actually a better play than getting a healer to do it, so that they can save on mana, and sometimes they just generally have to focus on, healing so that the tank doesn't die, and they literally cannot fit one global cooldown to do a Dispel, so get a Shadow Priest to do it instead. There's also some really cool quirky stuff, like for instance Mind Soothe that reduces the aggro circle of mobs, which is vital for certain skips in raid, particularly Karazhan. It's very useful for saving time in your raid night, and I definitely think tricks like that are going to be used by speedrunners. They also have Shackle Undead that can be used to make certain pulls and the bosses easier, because obviously it just totally CCs an undead enemy, and there is some undead enemies in TBC, particularly Karazhan. They can use mind control in very unique situations like Shattered Halls to give the party a huge shadow resistance buff before they actually attempt the first Warlock boss that obviously does a, irritating shadow damage AoE effect, and it will actually stack with your own shadow protection spell, so you can give every party member a ridiculous amount of shadow resistance. Well, it worked on private servers anyway. And then on top of all that, didn't really need mentioning, but obviously they can resurrect people. And on top of all that, guys, I've not really started talking about how fun the rotation is, particularly when you play Night Elf and get an extra spell in your rotation that can be intelligently buffed with snapshotting your trinkets with the ability. Obviously, I'm talking about Star Shards. I am going to make a video about that more in detail in the future. Out of all of the caster classes, to be honest, if not all the classes, I definitely think Shadow Priest has the most interesting rotation, with the biggest variety of different spells to actually use that are useful in the rotation. There's no real junk spells, really, in the Shadow Priest's arsenal. Plus, like I said, I love taking it a little bit further by adopting the snapshot playstyle to boost the DPS of all my dots like Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain. When I played Shadow Priest back in the day, I never found it difficult to find a group for anything, really. Dungeons, raids, guilds, because people just love Shadow Priests that much. They are, just because of the support that they provide. You really cannot afford to go without a Shadow Priest. I mean, you can live without Shadow Priest, but bringing a Shadow Priest to a group is just going to make the experience of that content much, much better. I even had guilds asking me to join their guild while I was already in a guild. Okay, I never had to persuade myself into a guild or a raid team, because I knew that people were going to whisper me at some point, which means I didn't have to go through that kind of stress and frustration of trying to find a raid group, a guild, or even, a 5-man group. And you know what? I've not even talked about PvP, which is a topic that I honestly need to do a lot more research into, because I've not really dabbled in it that much personally. Personally, I just think Shadow Priest is just going to be a totally super chill class to play in TBC, which is great for me because I have a very busy schedule these days with working on videos, and now that the gyms are open in the UK, I am obviously very strapped for time. But anyway guys, be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss more videos about Shadow Priest coming very soon. My name is MetaGoblin, until my next video, ciao.